Hello, children. Welcome to the online class. Today, we shall discuss the chapter Resources and Development from your geography textbook. So, let's start. What is a resource? Everything available in our environment which can be used to satisfy our needs, provided it is technologically accessible, which means it should be well within our technical access. Means we should be technologically so much able or so much capable that we are able to carry out that developmental work. For example, if we want to extract minerals out of the earth's crust, we need to have appropriate technology. We need to have sufficient technical know-how, right? And economically feasible by which we understand that it should be well within our financial capability, and it should be culturally acceptable by which we understand that the developmental activities that are carried out should be acceptable to the people, to the society. It should not be hurting the sentiments of any particular community. Now, the process of transformation of things available in our environment involves an interdependent relationship between the nature, human beings, and technology. Let us understand the concept of resource transformation. A river is a natural endowment. It becomes a resource when human beings use it. They use technology and develop institutions to convert this natural endowment into resource. Do you think that resources are free gifts of nature, as assumed by many? They are not. Some of the resources may be free gifts of nature, but not all. Most of the resources are a function of human activities. Therefore, human beings are essential components of resources. They transform material available in our environment into resources and use them. It is the man who is at the core of resource development or economic development, because he interacts with the physical environment and technology to create institutions to accelerate the pace of economic development. Now, let us understand the classification of resources. There are various criteria on the basis of which resources are classified. On the basis of origin, the resources can be biotic and abiotic. On the basis of exhaustibility, resources can be renewable and non-renewable. And on the basis of ownership, resources can be of four types: individual resources, community owned resources, national and international resources. And on the basis of state of development, potential resources can be there, developed resources can be there, stock and reserves, right? So let us discuss the resources which are based on origin. So biotic resources, all those resources which are obtained from biosphere and have life are known as biotic resources. Biotic resources, normally forest, livestock, etc., are examples of renewable biotic resources. As far as abiotic resources are concerned, all those resources which are composed of non-living things are called abiotic resources. Abiotic resources can be renewable as well as non-renewable resources. Land and water are renewable abiotic resources, whereas iron and bauxite are non-renewable abiotic resources, right? And on the basis of exhaustibility, resources can be classified into two types: renewable resources. Renewable resources are the natural resources which can be used again and again or can be reproduced by physical, mechanical, and chemical processes. Solar energy, air, water, and soil are some of the renewable resources of energy. Non-renewable resources are those natural resources that cannot be replaced at all or within a reasonable time. Fossil fuels such as oil, gas, and coal are examples of non-renewable resources. These resources accumulated over millions of years. They are considered to be non-renewable resources because once they are used up, they are gone forever. Scientists estimate that there are enough deposits of fossil fuel resources to last for only 1 or 2 centuries before supplies run out. Now, on the basis of ownership, resources are of four types, starting with individual resources. Resources which are owned by private individuals are known as individual resources. Plot, fields, house, cars, books, etc. are examples of individual resources. Community owned resources, the resources which are accessible to all the members of the community, are known as community resources. Village ponds, public parks, playgrounds, etc. are some examples of community owned resources. Now, national resources, all the resources which are under the control of state or union government are known as the national resources. All the resources within the political boundaries are national resources because the government has the power to acquire even private property. International resources, let us understand these. These resources are owned and regulated by international institutions. The oceanic resources beyond 200 kilometers of exclusive economic zone belong to open ocean, and no individual country can utilize these without the concurrence or permission of international institutions. India has got the right to mine manganese nodules from the bed of Indian Ocean from that area which lies beyond the exclusive economic zone. Now, the types of resources on the basis of status of development. Potential resource, the resources which are found in a region but have not been utilized due to lack of capital, technology, or other reasons. For example, the western parts of India, particularly Rajasthan and Gujarat, have enormous potential for the development of wind and solar energy, but so far these have not been developed properly. As regards the developed resources, these are resources which have been surveyed and their quality and quantity have been determined for utilization. The development of resources depends on technology and level of their feasibility. For example, India has a cumulative total of 2,47,847 million tons of coal resources. Now, let us understand stock. These are the materials in the environment which have the potential to satisfy the human needs but could not be used as the human beings do not have the appropriate technology to convert them into usable form. For example, water is a compound of two inflammable gases, hydrogen and oxygen, but human beings do not have required technology to use them as a source of energy. As regards the reserves, these are the subset of the stock which can be put into use with the existing technology, but their uses have been postponed keeping in mind the needs of the future generation. For example, India has sufficient amount of forests to fulfill the needs of present generation, but they are being protected for the future generation. Now, let us understand due to the use of resources or the development of resources, what all possible impacts can be there. Resources are vital for human survival, development, and for maintaining the quality of life. Though resources are gifts of nature, but overutilization of resources has led to many problems. Now, first one being the depletion of resources. Overutilization has led to depletion of resources for meeting the greed of few individuals. For example, overutilization of fossil fuels has led to situation where most of the countries of the world are facing the problem of pollution and energy crisis. See, the scarcity of resources will be there when the concentration of resources is there in few hands, and this has divided the society into haves and have-nots, or rich and poor. There is a global ecological crisis due to overutilization of resources, such as global warming, depletion of ozone layer, pollution, and land degradation, right? And because of the unequal distribution of resources, because only a handful section of people enjoy access to the resources and a large section of people are still devoid of it, thereby it leads to the exploitation of them, exploitation of the larger sections of people by a handful number of rich people. Land degradation. What actually do we understand by the term land degradation? It is a process through which land is left unfit for cultivation. Right? When the land is unfit for cultivation and it becomes unfit for cultivation, so that condition of land is said to be a degradation of land. Human beings, due to personal greed, have degraded this natural environment to a great extent. The human activities have also aggravated the pace of natural forces to cause damage to land. Right? Various developmental activities multi-purpose river projects and mining activities, they have induced and there have been many disasters which have been the result of these human activities only, these developmental activities only. At present, there are about 130 million hectares of land degraded land in India. Approximately 28% of it belongs to the category of forest degraded area. 56% is water eroded area, and the rest is affected by saline and alkaline deposits. Some human activities such as deforestation, overgrazing, expansion of mining and quarrying too have contributed significantly in land degradation. If we discuss mining is one of the most important factors for land degradation. The mining sites are abandoned after excavation work is over. The excavation work leaves deep scars and other materials which degrade the soil. This is common in states like Jharkhand, Chhattisgarh, Madhya Pradesh and Odisha. Overgrazing, yes, of course, is of land by animals results in removal of grass over a large area, making it easy for wind and water to remove the soil. In the states of Gujarat, Rajasthan, Madhya Pradesh, Maharashtra and hilly states of northern India, overgrazing is one of the main reasons for land degradation. Waterlogging due to over irrigation of land is also responsible for land degradation. Waterlogging increases salinity and alkalinity in soil, making it unfit for cultivation. The states of Punjab, Haryana, Western Uttar Pradesh, UP, Western Uttar Pradesh are facing land degradation problems due to waterlogging. Now, industrialization is also one of the major factors responsible for land degradation. The mineral processing like grinding of limestone, of cement industry and calcite and soapstone for ceramic industry, etc. generate huge quantity of dust in the atmosphere. It retards the process of infiltration of water into the soil after it settles down on the land. In recent years, industrial effluents as waste have become a major source of land and water pollution in many parts of the country. Most of the land adjoining to big cities is being degraded because of industrialization. Land conservation, we as just now discussed land degradation, so there is an urgent need to conserve land, and that can be possible through afforestation by planting more and more trees, by planting shelter belts, checking over irrigation and terrace farming on the mountainous areas. Resource planning. Yes, resource planning is widely accepted strategy, and it is for the judicious use of resources, right? And it has the importance in a country like India, which has enormous diversity in resources. So Indian economy is a mixed economy. Some of the resources are owned and controlled by the government and some are in private hands, but most of the natural resources are controlled and owned by government. So India has made concerned efforts for achieving the goals of resource planning through 5-year plans. These 5-year plans are prepared by the Planning Commission, but now we have the Niti Aayog in place of Planning Commission to formulate the policies for developmental plans. So resource planning, as far as resource planning is concerned, it's a complex process which involves identification and inventory of resources across the regions of country, which involves surveying, mapping, and qualitative and quantitative estimation and measurement of resources, evolving a planning structure endowed with appropriate technology, skill, and institutional setup for implementing resource development plans, right? And thirdly, matching the resource development plans with overall national development plans. Now let us understand soil as a resource. Soil is the most important natural resource, and we understand that it's a medium of plant growth and it supports different types of living organism on the earth. It takes millions of years to form soil up to a few centimeters in length. So soil is a thin upper surface layer on the earth, comprising mineral particles formed by the breaking down of rocks, weathered mineral particles, decaying organic matter, living organisms, water, and air. There are a number of factors which contribute to the formation of soil and its fertility. The parent rock. The source of the rock fragments that make up the soil is a parent material, which may either be bedrock or loose sediments transported elsewhere by water, wind, or ice. The surface rocks are exposed to the process of weathering and suffer decay and decomposition. In this process, the rocks are converted into the fine grains and provide a base for the soil formation. The soils of northern plains of India have been largely derived from the depositional work of the Himalayan rivers. The rivers deposit very fine particles of soil called alluvium in the plains during the course of their long journeys spread over hundreds of kilometers and thousands of years. These soils have little relation with the original rocks. On the other hand, the soils of Peninsular Plateau are generally coarse grained and are closely related to the parent rock. Now, relief influences. It is also one of the most important factors of soil formation. Relief influences the process of soil formation in many ways. The most important being the slope of the land. Steep slope encourages the swift flow of water, so steep slopes usually have a thin soil layer. The areas of low relief or gentle slope generally experience deposition and have deep layers of soil. Climate, yes, is a very important factor for soil formation. Temperature and moisture are the climatic variables of greatest significance in soil formation. Both the chemical and biological processes in soil form are usually accelerated by high temperature and abundant moisture and are slowed by low temperatures and lack of moisture. Natural vegetation. The cover of natural vegetation also affects the formation of soil. There are because the vegetation of various kinds growing in soil performs certain vital functions. Number one, the decayed leaf material adds much needed humus to soil, thereby increasing its fertility. And second is the roots hold the soil and so prevent erosion. Children will discuss the types of soil in the next explanation of mine. I hope you enjoyed the video and I urge you to like it and subscribe it. Thank you so much.